About 5 years have passed since the squad led by Arvin defeated the Demon King who plunged the earth into chaos and fear, and now this very hero. Phlygia says that the hero seems to like her, and he asks if she is free today. She explains that it is the high season and she is constantly busy, and he says that he is returning to the capital and regrets it, while mentioning that Arvin is a hero and a handsome man for whom kings fight. He says that just being nearby is enough for him to have fun, then asks to bring a mug of ale, and the girl explains that they won't be bored at the table and agrees. She says that she will say a terribly scary thing and she doesn't really like the hero. The man at the table explains that the hero has come here again, and another man says that they are better than this girl, and she explains that many girls are hunting for the hero, so she is already going to take the order. Phlygia is surprised that her father says that they have a hero himself as a guest, but she is only interested in work and explains that she works without thinking about it. Arvin explains that he brought a gift for his father and thought that he would like the spices, talks about free access to the Demon King's castle and gives Phlygia a ring, explaining that he has been looking for a worthy master for a long time. She says that this emerald light is orichalcum. The man explains that you can buy a whole country with this money, and the girl says that he has gifts on the level of royal jewels. She can't accept it, and Arvin explains that they won't be able to afford to pay for the ring's security and that it won't suit her. He says Phlygia and her father yells at her that she's a fool, and she explains that they're not that close. The father shouts that she is at it again and reproaches her for her stupidity. The woman explains that she is behaving like a little girl, and another girl says that there is a handsome man in front of her and she is unhappy. He demands his order and calls his interlocutor a stupid country bumpkin. The man is surprised. Arvin apologizes for the noise and promises to return. The woman insists on seeing him out and warns him not to return. The woman apologizes for the fuss. He explains that the hero always attracts a lot of attention, and he wants to get her attention. At first she is surprised and says that she felt like a princess from a fairy tale, but next to him she will be unhappy and cannot sincerely say that she loves him, although he does a lot for her. She is surprised by the beauty of his face, but notices the strangeness of his eyes, and he addresses her by the name of Phlygia. He says that he wants to live with her in this village. She apologizes for the distraction. He explains that he has long dreamed of settling in a peaceful place, and after defeating the king he will be able to go to the capital for work. She laughs and he repeats what he said. Arvin says he wants to find a life outside of constant battles and actually wants to spend more time with her, but she is surprised and asks him to wait. She explains that she doesn't understand relationships and has never had one, wonders what she should say directly, and says that she doesn't want to date him. She says that she is glad of his feelings, but they are different from hers, and advises him to find a couple worthy of him, and he laughs, after which she is surprised and does not understand his laughter. He asks where the man worthy of the girl is and says that he will kill him if necessary, and she explains that she loves him more than anything and will not give him to anyone. She screams that she won't let Arvin pass and tries to stop him. He says he's not joking at all, and she explains it with concern as Arvin stands behind him. She admits that she has always been afraid of the hero, and the man says that he is ready to give his daughter in marriage, after which she screams that she hates him and wishes for death. He says he wants to die and thinks it's rude. She explains that she won't find support from her parents and needs to escape from the village, and then is surprised that she needs to find somewhere to run. He shouts that he is the most terrible and most dangerous person in the world, and another asks what Phlygia is, and she says that she noticed it then. She says Vioi and that this is the port city of Ruttau, and is also surprised that she actually crossed the sea. Down below they note that it is very lively here and you won't see this in the village, and admire the coolness. He explains that he is in Ruttau, a port city in the Republic of Regress, where good infrastructure and trained soldiers ensure security, and she explains that after the incident, she fled at night and left the village. She says she has long dreamed of something like this for travelers. She says that she dreams of becoming a chef and was saving money for a trip to learn different cuisines, but the deadlines have shifted, and she doesn't have the ring that she hides under her glove, and one hero is bothering her. She says that she swam across the sea and he won't find her in the first second, and he explains that it's Phlygia. She is surprised, and Arvin says that it is strange to see her outside her home village and asks what she is doing here. He runs away and he says that the game of tag is fun, but they are not children anymore, and explains that he has the gift of clairvoyance, which surprises and scares her. He says he can help find someone he knows anywhere in the world, and she is surprised and delighted. Arvin says it's dangerous for a girl to travel alone, but she explains that she doesn't want to see him and isn't trying to run away, and promises to be his bodyguard. He says that he ran away from the village because he no longer wants to see his interlocutor and is terribly afraid of him, then explains that he says that he loves him but does not listen, and demands that he take off the ring, considering it impolite. He wonders what the ball is, and Arvin explains that the ball appeared on its own because he felt sad, and warns that if she doesn't go on a date with him, the ball might land on someone. She speaks her mind and then remains silent. Arvin says that a date in a port city sounds like a dream, and she agrees to go on a date with him, asking him not to destroy the city. He says he's going to light a fire. She says she wants a cocktail for two. They sit at the table together and chat. Arvin explains that he drinks through a straw, and she reacts with embarrassment and tries to do the same. He tells her that he is so happy and joyful to go on a date with his girlfriend. She is surprised and explains that he is crazy if he threatens a girl for a date, and thinks that he is using dirty tricks. She says that he doesn't love her and wouldn't hurt her otherwise, and that he teases and plays with her, and he explains that if she were a princess or a noble lady, he would be in trouble, but she is just a simpleton who can be thrown out at any moment. He says that he loves Phlygia and asks how he can prove it, while getting annoyed that she teases and plays with him. She explains that he shouldn't touch her without asking and asks him to remove the red ball, and he says that he understands and agrees. He explains that he can control objects and is surprised when the old woman notices this. He screams "Grandma" and makes shrill sounds, expressing great excitement. He says that he is not doing anything like that to the elderly man, and she screams that he is doing something to him, after which the woman is surprised and asks if the granny is okay, who explains that youth is boiling in her blood. She is surprised that the ball doubles the creature's physical strength, and he explains that his ball has strengthened hers tenfold and he is not so heartless, and then she says that she will skip home. She says she was tricked, and he explains that he didn't say he would destroy the city if she didn't go on a date with him, and explains that he's a hero and wouldn't do such a thing. He tells Phlygia, but she doesn't believe him and calls him terrible. Arvin says they didn't finish their cocktail and asks where she's going, and she yells at him to stay away and not follow her. He's silent, and he says that she's so sweet, even when she's angry. She says that he got to her and led her around by the nose. She is surprised that she could change and wonders if the hero has changed for her, and he tells her that he was kind when they first met and asks why he has become different now. He cries and explains that he fell behind his father and lost him, and she asks what happened. He asks if there are any ideas where he might be and agrees to go looking together, and she is surprised that it is in the forest and notes that this is a different matter. He explains that there might be monsters in the forest and says that the guardian will definitely help, but she asks to wait and admits that she is not very strong. He says she shouldn't and shouldn't even try. He yells that the forest is dangerous and asks her to stop. She is surprised, and he explains that if a little girl gets lost in the forest it will be bad, and she says that sounds rude. He shouts to stop and explains that the forest is dangerous, and she suggests waiting for her father in the city. She says she needs to go back to town and tell someone about the baby, admits she can't keep up with the baby and feels pathetic, then decides it's time to take action. She screams that she's lost and stupid, explains that if a monster appears, she will definitely die, and he tells her that as a child he was bullied for his inability to defeat a slime, and she says that now she has no weapons at all but she does have a frying pan. He says she's okay, and she's surprised and asks if he's hurt. The girl is happy that she found her dad. He says that everything is fine, and the monster calls her delicious and asks to look. He explains that he can't believe what's happening, and she suddenly attacks and bites him on the neck, after which he jumps back sharply. He explains that his paralyzing poison is strong and wishes her a pleasant meal, and she tells him that she wanted to help a strange child but got lost in the forest and calls herself a fool. Arvin delivers a powerful blow to the monster as another man watches the fight. The monster is surprised that he is alive, and he and the girl attack him with fire and a spear. Arvin says he won't let her be eaten. A man standing nearby prepares for battle, and a girl with braids watches them. He shouts who he is and is surprised that he killed his father with one blow, and then curses, causing a whirlwind. He deflects the attacks with auto-defense, and she is surprised that this is a blessing from the god of martial arts. He says that this is one of the rare paladins, and Arvin explains that he will not forgive those who dared to harm Phlygia, and asks the heavens to give him strength. He yells that the super-strong holy magic holy justice is too powerful, and she explains that it's somehow strange. She says he is strong and this is the first time she has seen him fight, and he calls her Phlygia and explains that he is a hero after all. Arvin apologizes for being late and offers to examine the wound, and she agrees and flinches at the touch. He explains that heroes can use healing magic not at the level of sages, but enough to cure poison, and she says so warmly, turning to Arvin. Arvin explains that the monster uses illusion to lure people into the forest and eat them, and she thanks him and admits that she thought she was done for. He says it's a rookie mistake and there's something to learn, and the girl explains that she has no brains or common sense. He says that he will also protect her, and she says don't even try. He says that there is no need to tell him such kind words, and she is surprised and sighs. Arvin explains that he used magic capable of defeating the Demon King, hopes that the city was not harmed, and explains that it does not work on people, and if someone was harmed, he will take it upon himself, then notices that she ran away and regrets that he underestimated her. He explains that as soon as he gets distracted, she runs away, is surprised by her smile, anger and hatred, tells her that he loves her with all his heart and lives for her, and then explains that her face, wrinkled with pain, is simply unbearably wonderful. He says that he will never let Phlygia go, and she notices the hero's scary look and explains that he is crazy. She is surprised that it is the same as the monsters. She talks about winning in her sleep and being his personal chef, then wakes up and is surprised. Arvin says good morning to Phlygia, and she asks in horror what he is doing here. He says that he finished his business in the Empire earlier and hurried to her, and she is surprised that he made his way to her. She explains that the door was locked and chose a hotel with a special magical lock, and he says that he cast an opening spell and broke down any door, after which she says that he is worse than a thief. He explains that heroes are people who do things that normal people can't do, and the other one yells that he's crazy and normal people don't break into a girl's house, and Arvin calls him a pervert and asks him to stop. She is surprised that nothing perverted was done to her and demands that he not avoid the conversation, and he explains that heroes do not do such things and do not threaten girls to ask them out on a date, and asks if the weather is nice today. He says he was just looking at her, and she explains that she can't take it anymore and demands that she leave. Then he says that he wanted to stay. She is surprised that he snuck into her room and explains that her virginity doesn't last long. She remains silent, and then expresses surprise at his virginity, after which she says that if he punishes her, they will have a child, but she does not want to have children from a perverted hero. She says that something needs to be done before it's too late, and explains that she will be powerless if he really wants to do something to her, and then says that she doesn't know what to do although she knew that something would happen, and in vain she chose this particular hotel. She counts the money, explaining that she has 20, 40, 70. And in a panic she screams that this is her money. There is a cry that there are too few of them, and it is reported that the action takes place in the Republic of Regression, in the provincial city of Dyson. She says that she has already spent a quarter of the money, did not expect that traveling is so expensive, she needs to find a job, and her dream is moving away because there is no time to learn cooking, and if she runs away, the prince will immediately find her. She asks if it is possible to sell the ring, and he explains that selling a gift is too much, and even if he was forced to accept the ring, he will not take it off. She is silent, and then says that she herself decided to run away from the hero and therefore must be ready for anything, after which there is a call to move forward. Someone is surprised. She is surprised that he does not see the expensive silver-green ring with a red stone on her ring finger, and he asks her to be quieter. He says he doesn't see the ring and asks her to take it off if it's there, and she explains that it can't be removed and asks why he wanted to sell it. He says something creepy 3 times in a row, and she says that she was going to cut off her finger and asked for some kind of magic to make it so that it wouldn't hurt. He explains that this is a mythical or from Orichalcon and is worth a lot of money, and she is indignant that she was insulted by a village simpleton who could hardly have received such an expensive ring. He explains that the girl is talking about a ring on the ring finger of her left hand, and she is surprised by the noise. She is surprised that she is hallucinating and says that she will not come again. The man thanks her, and he asks her to wait for her. The woman explains that the seller was rude to them and asks to see the ring. The girl explains that the ring is enchanted with invisibility magic, and the woman explains that with her analysis skill the ring is definitely there. She says that it is unexpected to see a ring that deceives sight and touch, with a seal imposed on it, and explains that she is not surprised that it is made of orichalcum. The older woman explains that the ring can only be removed by a more powerful person than the one who put it on, and offers to exchange the ring for a low price, while the girl says that the main thing is to sell it at a high price, and the man apologizes for jumping to conclusions based on the girl's appearance. The woman explains that he is under a spell and it is better not to remove it by force, and he asks to follow him to the exit and leave the city, surprised at how terrible it is. She explains that nothing worked out and she didn't sell the ring, so she will live on crusts of bread, and he eats at a table nearby. He says hi to Phlygia and tells her that the food here is delicious, and she clutches the bag of food and remains silent. She asks the hero to tell what this ring is. He asks if there is transparency magic on him and if the curse can be removed, or if it is impossible at all. He explains that the ring is worth a lot of money and he wouldn't want it to be stolen, and the man says that he thought he would break under the pressure of public opinion, but it was all in vain. He says that it doesn't bother him and can be worn for health, and can also be seen as a talisman, and calls her a sweet little bitch, and she is indignant that she can't take it off. She asks the hero what he is trying to achieve and whether he wants her to fulfill her dream, and he says that he is ready to support her with all his might in anything. He asks to be allowed to be closer to him than anyone else, explains that he dreams of a normal love relationship and wants to be loved, and also says that he loves the face of the interlocutor even in the face of contempt and it is enough just to be near him. He explains that despite the promise of getting everything from money to popularity, it is surprising that there is a willingness to become his, since many fought for his attention for these things. He explains that he can fulfill his dream of becoming a chef and opening a cafe, and asks why she is so reluctant, and she confirms and says that she would never agree to be with them. She says she doesn't want anyone to make her dream come true for her and wants to challenge her abilities, and also thanks for saving her life and recognizes the importance of principles. She explains that she understands the expectations and is ready to become a stranger, but when she gets tired of this, she will give an answer if the intentions are really serious, and then everything will work out and the parents will be happy. She explains that she won't lie to herself for him, and he says that he doesn't love her and laughs that this is a real rejection. He says well, and he asks so what? She says she doesn't care what he thinks of her and won't let anyone take away her right to be with him, and he asks what to do. She says she must defeat them to prove that she too can save the world, and he explains that he doesn't understand what she means and that their superiority will disappear. She says that she will become stronger, she will not be afraid of threats to destroy the world, and she will regain her freedom, considering this the best solution. He says that now his journey to becoming the strongest will begin, and he can't defeat the slime yet, and she explains that she will have to give up her dream as a cook in order to become stronger and defeat them, and insists that she is serious, and he is surprised and asks if she is joking. She says that she has long wanted to become a warrior and there was a reason to become the strongest swordswoman. He asks if she will become his if she defeats him, but she refuses and he explains that he is ready. He says she's being too presumptuous and asks what the rule is, and she explains that she has to get stronger first and is surprised to hear that from him. He says that he had 5 years of serious training and he was strong before that, and she says that in 5 years she will become strong. She decides that she will defeat the hero and explains that she can't do without a fortune teller, and then is surprised to hear the hero call someone trash. She is surprised and says that it is the first time she has seen such low stats, and then explains that each combat skill has a rating from F to SS, where F means trash and S means genius. He explains that on the left is the current state, on the right is the future, and she is surprised and says that she is trash, then admits that she hoped to discover a hidden skill and he calls her a fool. He says that if you're not a fighter, you could be a magician, and she explains that she might actually be capable of magic, after which he's surprised by her 0 talent and many F grades. He screams that he should cry, and she explains that after such low stats, she needs to perform a ritual with salt and take double payment from him. He is surprised by the cruelty. She says that he has beautiful green eyes and it's all in vain. He is surprised that he has green eyes and explains that he knows what the power of blessings is, but only slightly. She explains that this land of Erisgia was created as a battleground for the angel gods and the monster gods, and explains that this is an ancient history known even to those who do not practice martial arts. She tells that after long wars the gods were tired, there was a war on earth, but people and other creatures appeared, and among the gods who remained in Eristia, some give power to those who pass the test, and this happens to this day. He explains that there are angelic gods and monster gods, but that one can only receive the blessing of one kind of god, and explains that there cannot be a person who loves two kinds of gods at once, and that blessings manifest differently in different people. She says that those who are loved by the gods have special features, including green eyes, and explains that he has a chance to receive a blessing from the monster god. He's surprised that it's cool, and she explains that the blessing gives buffs to skill level, but if stats are low to begin with, it won't help, and says that usually from the monster gods they receive the Pegasus blessing, which gives a speed boost of 1 to 10%. She says that he has low stats, and it's like pouring water on a hot stone, and the woman explains that to receive a blessing, he needs to pass a test that is beyond his strength. He shouts that he is asking for help, and she is surprised and says that he needs to become stronger, explaining that it is better to turn to the knights or guards, and he objects that then the pervert will abuse him and he will have to bear his child. She asks if there's anything else he can watch. He's surprised. She explains that he has amazing life skills, lists them, and says that he'll be a good wife, and he's surprised. He says he expected nothing less from his bride, and she screams. He says she even amazed the fortune teller and calls her cool Phlygia, and she explains that it's enough to sneak in without making a sound. He says that he has already decided that Phlygia will become his wife, and offers to change places with her, and she says that he is not at all like her and is very handsome, and thanks her, and the other woman warns not to be deceived, that he is a pervert and a madman. She says she doesn't see any problems and offers to marry him. He asks to continue, and the man sighs. He says that he managed to appease the angry fortune teller so quickly. She explains that it is because of his face, and he says that people are terribly stupid and do not understand that under the skin everyone is the same, and asks not to drive the dark vibes into the tent. She is surprised and asks to check his stats, promising to pay for the analysis. The man agrees and asks if the woman does not mind, who confirms this. She is surprised and asks if he is even human, and he explains with amazement that he has not only the highest, but also infinite characteristics, and at the same time his life skills are very poor. He wonders what infinity means, and she explains that his level is like that of a god. She is surprised that he has the blessings of a holy sword, a holy god, an immortal bird, and a mad dog monster, and Arvin explains that he has blessings from two types of blessings at once, admitting that he is somehow unusual. She is surprised that he is a hero and says that she has only seen him in pictures, but in reality he is a handsome man, and he explains that he really does have scars on his nose and cheeks, confirming the rumors. The woman explains that she won't charge for the analysis, and the man says that thanks to her he saw incredible articles, and she is surprised but happy about it. He says that Amy decided not to take money from him to show off her statuses, and she is surprised that he is such a person. He says he wants to beat him, and he is surprised and asks how he can do that, after which the man laughs and explains that it is a funny joke, and the other says that he is not joking. He explains to her that he can't, and she says that she wants to defeat him. She explains that combat skills cannot be raised due to their dependence on defense, speed, physical and mental state, and according to her prediction, he has no alternative but hand-to-hand combat. She says that she sensed a strong alchemist in him and heard about creating pistols with the help of alchemy. The man explains that if a bullet hits him, it will hurt, and the woman notes that her pain will not go away, and he explains that alchemy is a life skill that is not always applicable in combat. He explains that alchemy has several branches: chemistry without magic and magical science, and that pistols use mechanical engineering mechanisms related to alchemy, and advises focusing on hand-to-hand combat and the study of modern alchemy in the kingdom where the best is developed. The woman explains that in the kingdom, people use alchemy and mechanisms to fight, explains that before going there, she needs to become stronger, and asks if she would like to try herself as an alchemist engineer. She says that she is an alchemist engineer. He is surprised. She explains that this is how she will win, and he answers with a question. Arvin explains that even after 10 years of training she can take him out with one punch. He says that she doesn't listen to him, and he says that she is so cute when she is confident. She thanks him, asks if he is sure that he doesn't need to pay. He confirms that he has had enough chance to analyze the hero, and she asks if he knows about the silver wolf. He says he doesn't understand what she's talking about. She explains that she saw a blessing disappear instantly and doubts the existence of the silver wolf. Phlygia explains that first she needs to sign up for hand-to-hand combat classes, learn about alchemy, and go to the kingdom. He asks if she is ready to give in and explains that he can rape her here and now, and she says if he is underestimating her too much and is ready to move on. He says that no one can stop him because he is the strongest being in the world. She says she doesn't do it because she's not in the mood, and he explains that she says that if she does this, she will only despise him and will definitely not love him. He explains that everything will be decided in 2 years. She asks to give her a chance and promises to bite off her tongue and die if he touches her with a finger, and he is surprised and says that on the contrary, he thinks that he underestimates her. She says that he dares to look down on a village girl and calls him an idiot, and he explains that she is very impudent. Arvin says that he loves her for this, and she looks at him with a flower in her hair. Then they walk down the street, and the girl walks alone on the pavement. She explains that it was scary and sudden, sighs and says that she is tired. She says no, and explains that he is like lightning or an earthquake, a natural phenomenon from which there is no escape or hiding. He explains that his rage and madness must be tolerated, and she says that she will resist him, it is her choice, and she will not cry because of him. The woman says he's handsome and offers to ask him out. The other one is surprised, and he, amazed, explains that no matter how stupid and impossible it may be, he's impressed and understands. He says that Phlygia tried to hint to him not to give up, thanks her and says that everything is for her, and he loves her more and more. The woman and the girl are surprised and ask what is wrong with him. They explain that tomorrow they will capture the Demon King's castle, talk about Nightraker's 300-year-old terrorism and the suffering of people, and also promise to put an end to this pain for those who have lost loved ones and their homeland. He says that they will definitely win, and below the soldiers raise their swords and shout in response. He is surprised, and he says that he rarely speaks in front of people and thought that he doesn't like to stand out. Then he says that they haven't seen each other for a long time. He says that he doesn't like to stand out, but he needs to end the adventure with a powerful speech. He explains that he's glad he's with them on the demon continent, and the man says that he wanted to apologize and considers him a close friend. So there's no need to worry, and he needs to send him on his final journey before tomorrow's decision. He says he is glad to see Arvin's face and can now fight without regrets, and he calls him by name. She says that he suspected something and calls him Marirose. He explains that she began to look more feminine, like a real holy virgin, and the man says that she must match and be an exemplary lady next to the hero. She tells him that the others are there now and invites him to come and say hello, and he explains that it is always so lively here. He says that he would like to fight alongside Arvin, but he does not have the blessing of the holy beast, and explains that they, the brave warriors of the kingdom and empire, will only be able to challenge the Demon King by clearing the castle and stopping the ferocious Mon. He says that he wanted to fight shoulder to shoulder, but he couldn't receive the blessing of the holy beast, and he explains that he supported their squad and the Imperials for a long time and considers himself pathetic. He says that the main thing is to return peace and harmony to Earth, and it doesn't matter who defeats the Demon King. The man agrees, and the woman explains to Cain that everyone has power and their own role on Earth, and he is well aware of this, but he will not forgive those who interfere because of personal ambitions. He says that after defeating the Demon King, they will go on an adventure together and is sure that traveling through a peaceful land will be more fun, and the other man says to go ahead. He says that they will never lose, and he explains that everything is going according to plan and there is little time left for the path to open. He tells them that the Demon King is in front of them and begins to speak further. He says that they have arrived at the Demon King's castle, and the voice thanks the strongest. The monster says that he will finally return to his interlocutor, and 3 people are watching him. She speaks of victory, and Arvin explains that they defeated the Demon King, peace was restored, the miasma was gone, and now people know that the Demon King was defeated on this very day. He says that after the battles, the situation improved, security and trade improved, the monsters were exterminated, and everyone began to be called heroes. He says that he received a title in the kingdom of Aldebaran and began to learn the habits of aristocrats, and women admire him. He explains that aristocrats wear uncomfortable clothes. He explains that 2 years have passed since the destruction of the Demon King, explains that Cain was a warrior from the Rigel Empire, who joined their team at the request of the emperor due to his youth and talent, and explains that Cain was arrogant, often argued, but was smart. He says that they were almost the same age and quickly became friends. And he explains that he liked the naivety and recklessness of his friend, who was more like a hero. He explains that Cain failed the test of the holy beast's blessing and explains that they didn't have time to encourage him. So Cain disappeared from their sight. He says that there was no joy when he saw him on the demonic continent, and explains that now they have a lot of freedom and he is surprised and the baby calls him. He says he's the older brother, but he calls him Cutie. The man thanks Arvin for his visit and says he has a cute child. He explains that he was busy and didn't expect him to get married and have a child, and the man says that the situation in the world has calmed down. He says he is 19 years old, his son Will is 1 year old, he has known Daisy since childhood and promised to marry her if he returned from the demon continent, and the other man says he is 20 years old and they discuss jealousy of popularity. He says that they will be able to gather a harem around themselves, and she explains that women are complex creatures, but they do not contradict the hero. Arvin says that Princess Margaret is asking for her hand and heart, and another man says that he does not need her, although there is no better one in the world. He says that if he marries the princess, he will have to learn to be a king, and he does not intend to sit in the castle for long, and explains that he does not like a political marriage and would like to escape from all this. He explains that ruling a country is a big responsibility, he can't handle it, he wants to marry the one he loves, and he tells her that he won't take a fork, he's not fit for the aristocracy and he heard that the best men are wild. He is surprised that the other one doesn't have a girlfriend, he explains that he has never dated, he says that girls usually complain about his indifference, and she admits that it's hard. He says that he loves girls, but has never been jealous of them and has never wanted to make them his own, but is just dating and does not want to have children. He explains that he envies the couple's happiness. The woman asks what kind of girl he will fall in love with. The man explains that it will be a strong-willed one, and the girl is surprised that the hero was not even attracted. The woman thanks Arvin for today. He explains that a war is brewing between the Empire and the kingdom over the demon continent, and she tells him that she is sometimes jealous of his husband and that he loves Arvin very much. She explains that today she understood why, and he says that he is happy and wants to live, after which they talk about the war between the kingdom of Aldebarani and the Empire of Regress for the lands of the demonic continent. He explains that he has been drafted into the royal army. He says that he has not held a sword in his hands for a long time, and the other man explains that with his position he cannot simply get involved in a war and the government cannot be trusted. He says that he can defeat the Empire's army without harming them, and then the royal army won't have to kill the Imperials, and Maxim reminds him that the world isn't that simple, and he explains that he can end the war almost immediately because Daisy and little Will be bored. Maxim was right, people are not so simple and innocent. He explains that everyone fought for their own interests and protection, and that day about 30,000 Imperial soldiers died because of him, the hero. He stands in the middle of a battlefield strewn with the bodies of fallen warriors and watches the receding smoke and clouds on the horizon. He says Cain. He explains that he cannot allow himself to die and clenches his fist, showing determination. He talks about how killing a demon king makes you a hero, and killing many people makes you a winner, explains that the best warriors could kill a dragon with one blow, and explains the story of the hero who destroyed the Imperial army. He says that a radical group tried to win the king over to their side through the princess. The wedding didn't happen, but everything went according to their plan, and the man explains that the king is happy, but the political situation could deteriorate sharply, and the boy doesn't understand his role, becomes arrogant and shouldn't have interfered. He explains that the subjects only know about the kingdom's victory, but are silent about the almost complete destruction of the Imperial army, and the man explains that despite the hostility, diplomatic relations were maintained and among them were close friends and allies. He explains that historically the demonic continent belonged to the Empire, it had many resources for alchemy, which their kingdom possessed, and explains that the Middle State is a long-standing ally of the Empire, and besides it, the kingdom of Hadar and the Federation are observed, warning that if this goes on. He explains that the king is surrounded by radically minded confidants who value territorial expansion for the sake of increasing the lives of subjects and soldiers, and therefore an invasion of the Empire's lands is planned, while the king will not retreat from mass slaughter and will definitely use a monstrous monster, and she tells. The king tells Arvin that his feat in the war is invaluable, gives him the southern lands and the Hild family name, and also gives his daughter Margaret in marriage, explaining that his power has enriched the country and the subjects will live better. He says it's not worth it. He says that he chooses women not with his eyes, but with his soul. The king is surprised, but the woman remains silent. He asks for forgiveness and explains that he does not love her. The king and queen are outraged by the rudeness and insult to the imperial family, and he demands forgiveness for this, saying that he became a hero by getting out of the bottom. He orders Arvin to be captured, who replies that he is leaving the kingdom and offers to try to catch him, and then asks if he is going to defend the Rhaegar Empire. He tells that the kingdom is planning to invade the lands of the empire, admits guilt and thanks for the fight against the Demon King, and the other asks for permission to protect the country and return to the kingdom. She says they had the nerve to come here. He says that all his friends and former teachers have died and wonders how they still don't understand that he has lost the people he held dear, and the boy is surprised. He tells Will to come back. The woman explains that her father disappeared because of Will, and begs Cain not to touch him, and also says that she doesn't know how to live on. He sits silently by the tree and thinks that he would like to die. He tells that he has been fasting for 2 months and has not died, explains that poison has no effect on him, and reflects on the fact that the gods do not allow him to die, and then remarks that he has no blessing from death. He says that news of a slime defeating a hero will surely spread throughout the monster world, and explains that after killing the Demon King, he constantly wondered why he thanked them. He wished for death, and he explains that perhaps it was because he could not die himself. He explains that he is only slightly ill, but his vitality has not left him, and he is surprised that the attempt failed. She says she hasn't touched the mucus in a long time and complains that it sticks to her. And Arvin explains that she is coughing and asking for help. She is surprised and asks if he is okay, explaining that he was attacked by a slime, and he says forget it and asks how she is. She is breathing heavily and says that she almost died. He explains that it is a weak creature, a blue slime. She says that this definitely won't work, explains that slimes are often found in the village, and he says that although it is expensive, it is justified, after which she says how good it is that he is alive. She says and he says that, at the bottom of despair, he met her and notes her breasts. He says he can't afford to be weak, and she explains that she understands his feelings and is ready to support him. She asks if he is okay, he thanks her for her help and explains that he is a little unwell, but he will recover for now, and she asks if he can get up. He explains that his stomach hurts, and she asks what will happen if they are attacked by slimes again, after which he notices that his stomach is empty. He explains that the famine lasts for about 2 months, and she is surprised and says that this is too long, after which the woman explains that he is exaggerating because of the feeling of hunger. He asks her to wait a bit and be careful. She is surprised and warns not to touch the slimes. She tells him that she found wild radishes and carrots, collected water from the river and will not make the mushrooms dangerous, and he explains that she always carries a frying pan, and she explains that she has rice to use the frying pan. She says that we need to collect stones and branches, then explains that the fire is ready, and he is surprised that she strikes 100 blows on the stone, and she says that now the main part. The fire is blazing in the bonfire, Arvin is shouting for it to be cut, and the girl is happy that they managed to light a fire. She explains that she will finally chop the radish and carrots, warning him to watch the fire, then shows him the liquid gruel, and he is surprised and asks to try it, after which she offers him a spoon. He says that the girl was so busy that he didn't even have time to tell her anything, and that something tells him that if he eats her soup, he will definitely recover in an instant. She asks why he doesn't like porridge, he explains that it's not that, and then he's surprised when she tries to feed him some. He says that his father said that on an empty stomach the brain won't work and bad thoughts will start. She explains not to go hungry anymore. He says that it's delicious and is surprised that simple porridge is so tasty. She says that she has tried the cuisine of many countries throughout her life and for the first time she is so impressed by the food. He explains that he has not eaten for so many days. She thanks him, and he says that he feels calm next to her. He asks if she is an adventurer. She explains that she is something like that, and he says that she has traveled the world and tried the cuisine of many countries. He says he's been to every country on the map, including the fairyland and the demon continent, and she says she wants to become a chef in the future. He asks what dishes he likes. He answers that his porridge, and then tells him that the best chefs and ingredients are gathered in the kingdom of Aldebaran, and in the kingdom of Hadar he liked the meat cuisine with hot spices, and the sweets there are the most delicious in the world. He explains that his number 1 is the wyvern fillet. He tells that in the Empire he heard about a legendary red wyvern that he had to kill himself and it was incredibly tasty, and explains that it was difficult because the valleys are inconvenient, and the wyvern spits fire and burned many allies alive, after which he is surprised that she wants to become a first-class cook and must taste all the ingredients, and she explains that to do this she needs to visit many countries and dangerous places, so she needs to become stronger. She says she was supposed to go on a trip 2 years ago, but her older brother stole all her savings and disappeared, and he says it sounds terrible and calls her brother bad. She says that due to the lack of time for training she remained weak and had to start all over again, and then explains that now she is almost there and just needs to try a little harder. He says that such an overwhelming dream is hard, and she explains that she is happy to dream and 4 years ago she couldn't think about it, thanks to the hero who defeated the Demon King. He says that during the reign of the Demon King, monsters caused a lot of damage to people, attacked cities, because of them there was a famine, and then people were more united, but now there is war everywhere, rebellions and conflicts between countries that now hate each other, and he explains. She says she prefers peace now. She explains that 4 years ago the village was full of powerful monsters. Men went to battle, the fields were ruined, there was not enough food to get to the neighboring city, it was necessary to hire guards, and now the ingredients come from different countries, and every day is filled with fun. He explains that now he can. She says that she will definitely thank the hero, because this is her dream, and explains that she sees the world with her own eyes, is happy about the absence of the Demon King and the smiling villagers, and he says that he does not deny what was said and does not want to think about war. Arvin thanks her, and she is surprised that he said gratitude, and they talk for a long time. He tells her that he is helping out at the tavern this evening and it is time to leave. She thanks him, then is surprised by his height, and he notices that it is already dark. He says that she is very small and cute. She is surprised and explains that it is in a good way, and then asks if it has gotten better. He says that he thought that she was just a naive and stupid girl, but she was kind to him. He is surprised that his face is burning and his chest is tight. She says that it is too late and her father will beat her. Then she leaves, wishing her good luck, and he asks what her name is and if he can visit. She says that they are always welcome and introduces herself as Phlygia from Hat Eno village. He says he cut his hair, washed his clothes, and made himself look presentable, and then he is surprised that he somehow neglected his beard. He says that the spirits are raging and explains that he understood what kind of wave it is, and he says that he fell in love. He says it was bound to happen. Wonders who could fall in love. And she explains that this love will bring deep suffering and a fate full of cruelty and despair awaits. A month has passed. He calls Phlygia to get up. She is surprised that he came to help during the day, and he warns her not to leave the tavern in her sleepwear. Then he warns that he will not forgive her if she picks up a suspicious man, and the woman says that they have a guest. He says he hasn't seen Phlygia for a long time, and she replies, "Ah." He says he came to meet her, and she tells him that she has finally found him and explains that she is a flower that grew only for him. It is explained that this is the suburb of Regress with a public tent area, and he admires a large chestnut tree. She says that there are chestnut trees near the city. She hasn't eaten sweets for a long time, and admires how the chestnut shines so much and looks delicious. She says that her main problem now is the lack of money, which is why she can't travel, and explains that she is too weak to fight monsters, so she can only save money, although she can't afford to stop to earn money. She explains that she saves on food because she has no hunting skills, and collects mushrooms and herbs near the city, as it is dangerous for a girl to stay in cheap hotels alone. She says the chestnut jam and breadcrumbs are ready, and he explains that it's all because of that creepy hero. She says it's delicious and what a joy it is to enjoy something sweet. The man explains that it's good for her and asks her to share it with them. She explains that she can't give food to others, and the man says that they won't just give fried chicken away. She asks, he thanks, and the man with short hair says that women's cooking is a joy. She says she hasn't eaten meat for a long time. The woman asks if she is an adventurer and where she is going alone, and the man is surprised at how delicious it is. He says that the capital is noisy because of the arrival of the Holy Virgin, and wishes to meet her. She talks about her decision to go to Ozu, and Arvin is surprised that this is Lady Marie Rose, and explains that she visits hospitals in many countries and examines patients. She says that many admire the girl, who is incredibly beautiful and an expert in healing magic, and her skills have long surpassed human limits. It is said that the Holy Virgin Mary Rose heals the sick and wounded all over the world, received the blessing of the god of wisdom and for this was called the Holy Mother of Orestia. She tells him that her fame is in no way inferior to Princess Margaret's and that she is incredibly beautiful, and he explains that he can get advice about Arvin and useful information from her, considering this as a chance. He says he greets Madame Marie, and she walks forward, accompanied by two men in cloaks. She hears the crowd shouting that they are facing the Holy Virgin, and he admires it. The crowd admires the beauty of the girl with snow-white skin and silky hair, and Arvin says that this is the first time he has seen such a beautiful girl with a pleasant smell. He shouts that now is not the time to fall in love and calls for Lady Marie, and the crowd enthusiastically demands to speak with her and calls her the Holy Virgin. The crowd rejoices, but he says in despair that it's all over and that they can't get any closer. He explains that the road needs to be cleared. The two men agree. The girl is surprised, and he admits that he can't catch up with her. He is surprised that she has a ring instead of a stone and asks where she got it from, and she repeats his words with disbelief, and he begins to speak. She explains that they met on the island a year ago, then Arvin started stalking him and gave him a ring, and he is surprised that he is talking to the Holy Virgin and remembers how scared he was. She says that he made her wear the ring and didn't expect to find out where it went, then asks for privacy. He is surprised and notices her, and she replies that she is also surprised. She yells at him to stop fooling around and asks where he stole the ring, and he explains that he was telling Arvin the truth and that Arvin would never fall in love with such a simpleton with glasses. The woman demands to know who he is, and he says he's telling the truth and warns of execution for lying. The girl asks him to leave the woman alone, and the man with the sword explains that he hasn't seen her for a long time and didn't expect to see them together. Arvin tells her not to offend his Felicia. The girl shouts his name and explains that she was worried, and the man is surprised and asks for forgiveness. She says that she hasn't been able to contact him for a whole year and is angry with him, and he is surprised that they are in such a relationship and considers it natural for such a beauty. Arvin explains that he stopped everything, and she is surprised by the betrayal with the Holy Virgin and demands not to leave her for another, and the girl asks him to stop talking nonsense. He calms Felicia down and explains that he is actually a guy, and she is surprised. Arvin asks her to be quiet, and he explains that he doesn't believe in men with beautiful legs, and she confirms that she didn't lie, and another man jokes about thick thighs. He shouts. She says wow. Maxim explains that his name is Maxim and it's nice to meet the lady, and she is surprised. Arvin explains that Mary Rose is his disguise and that he sometimes takes on feminine traits, after which he talks about fans willing to go to great lengths to meet them, and the man apologizes for the commotion and says that they went a little overboard with the game. He explains that in his male form he is too popular and girls immediately surround him. Unlike him, he did not know how to refuse ladies, which caused many problems because among them were the royal family, noble ladies, and even members of a secret society. Arvin explains that after rumors that he was gay and dressed as a girl, the ladies stopped clinging to him, and his female appearance turned out to be so charming that everyone decided that he was originally a girl, and he says that at some point he ran out of patience. He tells that in the village there is a story about how after the death of the sage Maximus, his duties passed to the Holy Virgin Mary, and explains that there were funny moments in dressing up, and the experience with makeup was interesting. The girl is surprised by the mention of the sage Maximus and the man. She wonders how they made the voice sound female. He explains that it was with the help of air magic, and Arvin says that this guy is a complete psycho, so there is no need to think anything. She says he hasn't visited her for a year because of the girl he picked up, and he explains that he didn't pick her up and found a wife, while the other girl is surprised, asking if he's in his right mind. Arvin explains that her comrades were worried about her and always treated her like a child, and she says that now Arvin seems normal to her and is always there for his friends. He explains that these two truths are like something out of a picture, and Maxim says that he will really look at the picture and calls Arvin courageous and himself charming, like from the Middle Ages. Arvin says that he understands the seriousness about the girl and agrees. The man is surprised by Arvin's tastes, and the other man forbids him to look at the girl with lustful eyes and demands that she return to her Marie form, explaining that as long as they are both men, the atmosphere will be tense. She asks if he's always been like this. He explains that Felicia has changed him for the worse. The other man agrees and offers to have some women's talk, promising to take her away for a while. The woman says she'll see Arvin, and he yells at Maxim to stop. He is surprised, and she explains that she thinks it was stolen. while the other girl warns that it is dark and scary here and demands that he keep up. She is surprised by the unusual house, and the woman explains that she has received the blessing of a wise god, allowing her to use the magic of time and space and move freely to other dimensions. She explains that teleportation gates have been installed in key locations on Erisgia, but only she can teleport using magic, and warns that teleportation is convenient but dangerous, as moving into a wall can result in death. He explains that before teleporting, it is important to use clairvoyance and space reading skills to understand where and when you will end up, and Arvin explains that time magic requires a lot of mana and is not useful in combat. She tells that in front of the interlocutor is her hidden house between the world of people Arestia and the world of gods angels Valhalla, and for this it is necessary to have wisdom. He explains that without his help even Arvin has a hard time getting here. She is surprised and says that she barely understood anything. He asks why she was brought here, then orders her to undress, after which she, in shock, begins to take off her clothes. Arvin explains that he puts on makeup, is surprised by the state of his hair and says that his sense of beauty suffers because of his unkempt appearance, and another woman says that he cries. She explains that she didn't pay attention and considers it shameful, while the other apologizes for her rude words and says that it's hard to take care of yourself while traveling. Arvin says that among his comrades there were female fighters who forgot about femininity during their travels, and she says that she is hot and asks to shut up, and he asks to put on pants. She offers to take the chance to bring him, explaining that she is a makeup artist and she is happy. Then she tells him that she met Arvin when he was 13 and taught him everything, and the other says that he is like a little brother to her. She says that 10 years ago, the miasma in Arestia grew thicker, the world rallied against the Demon King, and he began to think about how to defeat him. She explains that each country selected the strongest warriors with divine blessings to defeat the Demon King, and he explains that not all countries could trust this to strangers. He says that to fight the Demon King, one needs talent and strength, explains that thanks to the bonds between comrades, strength can increase tenfold, but for battle, people with the strength of millions are needed, and she says that the bonds of those who pursue a common goal will become stronger, and advises to leave. He says that although they assembled specialists in every field, they lacked a hero who would become the core of the team, and each country held combat tournaments in search of such a hero. Arvin says he is 13 years old. He says that one look was enough to understand that in the future he will become a hero. The woman explains that he won the tournament, and another woman asks him to take off his glasses, to which he replies that they are for beauty. She explains that the glasses were a gift from her grandmother, whom she loved for her kindness and feels protected when she wears them, and he explains that they need to be taken care of. She says that she is going to put on makeup and she has to look good next to the hero, and the other one explains that she doesn't want to be with the hero. She explains that Arvin may be the ideal masculine figure, but inside he is missing something, even though he is handsome on the outside. She is surprised that there is a kind and calm man inside, and the other explains that he threatened to destroy the world if she did not become his girlfriend and did not attack the offender, despite the violence. She shouts that he thinks he's a hero and demands that he take his words back, and the other one is surprised and warns that she will punish him if he doesn't take his words back. Then the woman says that everything is ready, and he replies that it's good. She says she looks like a princess, and he confirms that it is indeed Mrs. Marie, after which he asks permission to say something. Arvin yells at her not to waste such potential, and she explains that she is too lazy to put on makeup and is afraid that her skin will dry out, and Arvin asks if she wants to get married. She says that she is even worse off than the noble ladies from aristocratic families and is surprised that she has huge breasts. The woman explains that she is surprised by the cute look and is wearing a dress for the first time, and Arvin says that he is a pervert and is surprised that she caught his eye. He says that she is his type and that he can perhaps make her his, and she is surprised. The woman explains that it's a pity that he will be the first and offers to teach him, but the girl is surprised and asks not to worry because she understands this. He says that's not the point, and the woman wonders if he wants her to become a man and explains that she knows he created him. A man with earrings scolds another for touching his flamingo and calls him a pervert and an asshole. The woman is surprised, and Arvin smirks and calls him a coward who can't even satisfy a woman and tells how he's going to steal her away from him. He says that it will not be possible to use full power here and suggests returning back to the arena, and the other man says that we will see who is better, the hero or the sage, and shouts. She speaks to the boy, and a powerful explosion occurs nearby. She says she wants to run away and explains that she got herself into this, and the woman screams that she is in pain. He shouts that he will save her, explains that it is not bad to press on her pity and ask for forgiveness, using the female form, and he says don't dare touch Phlygia again and that the sage will never defeat the hero, and she is surprised. He explains that he wouldn't seriously fuck her and is surprised that he doesn't trust her at all, and she says that she is angry and that he avoided her trying to get a meeting, but he disappeared, and asks if he understands how worried everyone was. The woman says he doesn't trust them, and he explains that they were traveling to protect the people and the country, and he couldn't look them in the eye. He explains that the people he killed that day were someone's target off the battlefield, and so he decided not to meet them again, and the woman says that they should have been told about it right away and asks not to be offended. She asks what he did in the Empire and whether he wanted to atone for his sins, and Arvin says that he would be lying if he said that he didn't want to. He explains that an A-class monster of the phantom kind has appeared, and the man explains that when the Demon King disappears, the number of phantom monsters made of miasma will greatly decrease. He explains that the books were written at least 300 years ago and doubts their authenticity, and she says that the Class A monster seems strange, and he explains that monsters other than phantoms do not become weaker, that he noticed in the territory of the Empire, and perhaps strange events are happening in the country. She says she will try to keep track of everything and explains that it will be useful for him to delegate authority. He explains that the Empire dislikes him, but outside of it he is still revered as a hero, and assures that the king will not object to his return to the kingdom. He says that when he thinks about Phlygia all the bad thoughts disappear by themselves, and the man is surprised and explains that a year ago she didn't have a face, and he is glad that she got better. The woman says that he even gave her a ring, and he thinks that everything is going according to plan, and he says that in 2 years they will get married and invites her to come. She explains that this does not look like a relationship at all, and he says that he is not dating yet but will definitely marry Phlygia. She says he's talking nonsense, and he explains that it's nonsense. She talks about the bride's feelings and her opinion, and he explains that fate brought them together, and now he will make her the happiest wife in the world. He shouts to stop and asks Phlygia's opinion. He explains that he is a hero who overcame the impossible and everything will be fine, and she says that Phlygia will definitely choose him and calls him crazy. He says he doesn't listen and is just nuts. She is surprised, asking if he is going to destroy the world if it is not his, and he says that he is ready to do anything for the sake of peace and is serious about it. The man explains that Phlygia is more important to him, and if another man gets her, it would be better to destroy the world, and Arvin reassures that this will not happen, while the woman admits that she took Phlygia's words seriously and hoped that this would be an incentive for the development of the relationship. He says that he already sees his future, where he and Phlygia live happily, and explains that if this does not happen, the world has taken a wrong turn and needs to be destroyed, and she says that this is complete crap. He says that he wants about 10 children, the first son he will name Albert, the second Arnold, the first daughter Iam, the second Iris, and he has not decided about the rest yet, and she is surprised and asks what Phlygia herself thinks. He tells her that they will live on the island of Nodoga, where Phlygia grew up next to her parents' house, and she screams that enough is enough. Arvin says he will definitely make Fiji happy, and she screams that he is delusional. The woman asks for forgiveness and admits responsibility. The man explains that it is not her fault, and he demands an apology for what he did and is surprised by the prostration. She regrets that she didn't notice earlier that he had become schizophrenic and calms him down. And another woman explains that no one understood her before and asks what happened. Phlygia explains that she has even become a little calmer and says that she will now protect her. The man warns that if she interferes, he will deal with her, and Phlygia calls him a pervert and the enemy of all women. She screams that she will give him a thrashing, and he explains what he wanted with Phlygia and orders him to remain silent. Arvin asks Phlygia to stay in the church, promising to protect her from the monkey during mating season. She thanks him, and another man offers to stay with him, and she is surprised. He explains to Phlygia that she is a goddess and orders her to look here while the other woman reacts in shock to what is happening. Arvin says he will scold her in his space, and another man confesses his love to Phlygia, after which the woman thanks him for everything. She tells him she was finally able to sleep peacefully. He says it's nothing. She asks if he really will continue traveling. He explains that he's not having fun alone. She says she can hide him. He asks if she wants to become an alchemist, and she says she can't ask for more. One explains that she received the bag from the god of wisdom and that the things in it go to another dimension, while the other explains that the bag is rare, but no longer uses it. She tells that inside the bag there is a magic tent with a spacious room, a protective barrier on the ring, and warns not to enter the S-rank dungeon, and the other thanks and says that you won't have to spend a lot on traveling. She tells him not to be shy about asking for help and explains that if Arvin starts acting seriously, no one will stop him, and he is surprised and understands this, after which she says that Arvin does not like being scolded and immediately runs away. The woman says she has a question for Marie. Marie is surprised and explains that she is asking about the ring. The woman replies, well, he asks if he said anything about this ring, and the other explains that no, and it does not attract misfortune. She explains that it is clear that he did not tell, but she has no right to reveal everything. She tells him not to worry and that the amulet won't do any harm. The man explains that it's a protective amulet. She asks if it will harm Arvin, and the man replies that who knows. She says that for now this is all she can say, and she will tell more someday, but he wants her to take the last gift from him. He explains that they are members of the Demon King extermination gang, closer to gods than humans, and she is surprised and notices this. She explains that the gods give blessings to different people, and they give good luck. Arvin explains that you need to snap your fingers. He is surprised, admires the beauty of the butterfly and says that through it you can contact him at any time. She says that if something suddenly comes into his head, he shouldn't be shy about calling her, and she teleports to him, and he is surprised and calls her Marie. She says that she will tell her friends about him and hopes to meet again, and the other is sure that everyone will support him and thanks him for this. He tells that all the guys have luck except Arvin, and the girl is surprised and asks if this is true, while the other woman apologizes in advance. She wishes Arvin happiness and admits that she has long dreamed of him finding his first love, and he explains that Arvin is not a bad person, but he is doing the wrong thing. She says that a hero is not only about strength and asks him to remember this, and he is surprised that a hero is not only about strength. Phlygia tells Marie that she looks like a holy virgin and that he has an older sister, but he wonders if she's lying. Arvin tells her that she has new clothes and that she is cute in any clothes, and he asks if anyone said anything to her. She says he didn't say anything bad. He explains that he's surprised she has friends like ordinary people and laughs. He says that she takes him for someone else, and she explains that she went a bit overboard. She asks if he is a good person or a bad person, and Arvin explains that he is a hero and the best person in the world, and says that he understands them even less. He says that he is also the worst villain in the world, and she explains that, well, Arvin says that they are simply dangerous for him, and she explains that she is no different from a madman, and admits that she knows this and it bothers her, and he says that he completely forgot to confess his love to Phlygia. She says that she doesn't understand Arvin at all because he didn't follow her that day. She admires the room with a stove and everything necessary for cooking, and Arvin says that there is no better gift, and calls her a goddess. She says the firm bed is much softer than a hotel bed. He says that the wonderful tent is just a miracle, but she remains silent. She wonders why he's here, and he explains that he snuck in just before dawn. He tells that during their adventures they often use this tent, explains that Maria tried hard, and says that no matter how much she screams, no one outside will hear, and she understands that the most dangerous person in the world has a place to sleep. A man in pajamas shouts that another man has sawdust in his head and asks why he didn't sit in the ladies' bed at the first opportunity, and the girl asks Marie to help. He yells at them to get out of the space, and the other one says he doesn't want to because it's too hot. Then Arvin thanks Marie for the cute pajamas and explains that he needs to get stronger, start learning martial arts and enroll in a dojo with 3-year training for all ages. He says that girls will be especially welcome, and she is happy that she has found the perfect dojo and is worried, asking what to tell them and asking to let them in. She is surprised. He explains that he has come, and 3 men knock on the door. She apologizes for the suddenness and says that she would like to sign up, and the 3 men react to her words with confusion. One says he won't be able to teach a girl. Another explains that he hasn't spoken to women except his mother. A third explains that they don't like girls in martial arts, and a fourth is indignant that the teacher wrote that they are happy to have girls, although they can't communicate with them. She explains that they should teach basic kata and stances, and he asks if he is interfering with them and denies it. Jeff says he will teach, and the others support him. He explains to Phlygia that martial arts is a style of fighting using the body, and talks about the advantages of fighters without weapons and armor. Arvin explains to Phlygia that monsters are divided into 3 types. The first type are monsters similar to ordinary animals, the second are demons with high intelligence and magic, and there are also good monsters like dragons. He explains that the third type of ghosts are phantoms, which can only be defeated by holy purification magic, and advises her to run away when meeting them if she has no combat skills. And she understands and agrees. He offers Leo to start a fight. Leo is surprised and refuses, and Arvin explains that if he touches the girl, he will not be stopped, and the girl notes that this sounds creepy. Leo explains that he will start with the basics and teach her the stand, and the man asks her to follow him and copy his movements, to which she agrees. He explains to stand with your feet shoulder-width apart. Bend your knees slightly and raise your fist at shoulder level, and she admires. She is surprised that it is so cool. Arvin explains that you need to tense your left hand, and tells that the stance stabilizes the body for a strong strike, and depending on the situation they will use different kata. She explains that the entire base is in the rack, and he confirms this. Arvin laughs and notices how his muscles flex. Then he thinks about the need to strengthen his spirit and get rid of dirty thoughts, and the girl warns that it is dangerous to exercise with glasses on and asks him to take them off. He shouts that he is a cutie, and she is surprised and explains that she understood them. She asks if he's okay. He says it's their chance to touch the girl, and another explains that he can't because it's beyond his strength, and a third tells Leo to control himself. Arvin says he got sick and almost fell, then asks how they are coping, and the 3 answer that they are coping and ask not to be rude. He explains that they are training to greet the new girl with a party. The girl is surprised, and the man with long hair says that training is needed to defeat the persistent man. Arvin says that you can't call him a man and how dare he offend a girl, and the 3 men explain that even though they are losers, they won't let anyone offend the girls and confirm this. He says that they will protect Phlygia and asks her not to worry, and she thanks him and explains that her opponent is really strong. He says that during the battle the squad was strong. Another explains that this is male friendship. A third says to rely on them, and she is surprised and calls the guys. A man shouts that there is trouble outside. He and others are surprised, asking about the sky, and below they show dark clouds gathering over the city. He explains that he felt the souls of fools with impure devilish hearts crawling towards his goddess, while people are surprised that a man is descending from the sky and fear that it is the demon king or that he has risen from the dead. She is surprised and calls Arvin, and he explains that he does not forgive those who dared to approach his flirt. He shouts that he doesn't use expert lightning magic because of jealousy, and a thunderstorm spell sounds. He says it's time to start and encourages us to do it again. He explains that the hero is beyond their control, and the girl accuses him of lying and says that they were going to protect her, while he explains that the goddess Phlygia is the hero's property and praises it. He says to repeat it again, and a group of men shout that the goddess Phlygia is the property of the hero Arvin, and one of the women demands to stop. The man asks if he is awake and he confirms it. The man says that Knight Cain should be commended not only for his preparation, but also for surviving the encounter with him, and calls him a divine vessel.